everyone, and welcome to a new year and a new video. I am really excited to show you this project because we're going to be working on a baby, a My Little Pony Generation 1 baby. This is Baby Bowtie, which was released during year 3 and is actually one of my favorite ever ponies. This post in particular, I mean, this post and these colors, it has the cutest face, and I love the combination of pink and blue. Although in this case it seems that it was going to be customized into a different pony with red hair, but we are going to do a restoration, so we're going to bring back the original colors, which are sort of what you can see here. Some differences due to photography and time, some yellowing, but yeah, got some things to do, so let's get started. Oh, and a quick note before we do, I tried to turn this into a sort of an ASMR or like sound focused video. I bought a new microphone, but unfortunately, because I don't know too much about the process, I pointed the microphone kind of directly at the lights, which I learned results in very, very heavy static. So I did lots of post-production cleaning of the sound, but it wasn't very successful. So I'm sorry about that. I hope you can't hear the buzzing. I was actually really excited to show you this because this is one of the things that your support through Patreon has allowed me to do, to slowly upgrade my equipment or add new things. And yeah, I wanted to show you like the setup, but I got like a little tripod, but yeah, I should have done my research. Do not point your microphone at the lights. Enough said, let's talk about the pony. As you have seen already, this pony had a lot of glue. Now, normally, I don't know, in my experience, acetone is a great way or a great method to dissolve the glue. In this case, I tried first a little bit of acetone. It did not work at all, so I had to rely on more intense methods. So I used my hobby knife and these clippers, but as you will see, some areas were a bit more difficult and some mistakes were made. But let's go to the next step, which is removing the rest of the hair and cleaning the pony. Since acetone hadn't been very successful, I decided to use some very hot water to soften the plastic and maybe soften the glue as well, at least make the whole thing a little easier to manage, because the glue was so dry. It was very satisfying to work on because every time like I cut or scratched, the sounds were really nice, but at the same time I noticed that I was starting to damage the plastic because there was like it was like a sculpted thing almost. There was no difference between the glue and the plastic, and as you know, sometimes I'm not very careful. So hot water, going to clean the pony and then see if that helps in any way removing the glue. Sorry, that wasn't very grammatically correct. Generally speaking, hot water is always a good idea. It makes lots of things easier, lots of processes easier. And for example, when you have asked me in the past about breaking the rerooting needles when you are doing like the rehairing of a toy, any toy, this was recommended to me 3 years ago, and I only started doing it 1 year ago, so be better than me. But yeah, it always helps to soak the toy in hot water for lots of reasons. Alright, so while we do this, while we'll continue cleaning and removing the hair and preparing the pony, I thought I would tell you a little bit more about baby ponies, because I wasn't very familiar with them before I started like collecting, and they are so cute. They're so cute, and there are also lots of different poses for baby ponies and lots of different sizes. There are 3 sizes at least that I can think of top of my head right now of baby ponies. You have this one we are working on now, and then you have the newborns, which are smaller, and the teeny tiny, which are teeny tiny, chiquititas. Note to self, check the subtitles for this, because chiquititas is probably not something that will be picked up by the program. So yeah, this is a baby pony. This baby pony was released, as I said, during year 3. Oh, by the way, here you can see how I accidentally bit some of the pony's skin off. I'm so sorry. Now, as you can see here in this exclusive preview of my upcoming book about My Little Pony, which is going to be ready for pre-orders very, very soon. I just want to make sure the quality is the best I can achieve. Baby Bowtie was not the only baby pony released during this year, but it was one of the few European exclusives. You can see it here in this 1984 baby pony play and care leaflet that shows the 4 ponies that came with this set. And as you probably guessed, Baby Bowtie is the daughter of Bowtie. Most baby ponies are counterparts to adult ponies, not all of them. And not all adult ponies have babies. Now, in terms of variants, because as you might know, the world of My Little Pony Generation 1 is vast and lots of countries had their own production runs, sometimes with completely different looking ponies. Baby Bowtie has 5 versions. We have this European exclusive, which tends to have slightly darker hair, although not always. We have a Greek version that looks completely different. It's cream with pink hair. We have a Peruvian version that is actually a baby unicorn, and a Spanish version that uses a different pose but has similar colors to the UK one. Unfortunately, there isn't that much information about some of these markets, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to create this book, because it has all the countries with all the ponies that were made everywhere. And I created the images myself based on photographs, but actually they're all illustrations, so to the best of my abilities, I have been trying to represent all those ponies that are very, very difficult to find or are in such bad condition that you can no longer see like the original colors. Anyway, I'm sorry, I don't want to make it all about like self-promotion. This video is sponsored by me. Anyway, interesting fact about this pony in the Spanish version, it was called Bebé Regordete, which means kind of fatty baby, which I love. Now, there isn't much lore, I think, that I could find. I'm not an expert on the animations or the movies, but from what I could see, Bowtie is quite a popular character, but Baby Bowtie is a child, is protected by law, therefore does not appear on TV. But her mom is described as loving ribbons, ribbons tied in bows and on packages, silky ribbons, satin ribbons, and ribbons every color of the rainbow. Definitely likes ribbons. And she likes to have her hair braided with, guess what? Ribbons, with an extra one at the end. I don't know why I hadn't made the connection before, but I feel like all these ponies have like special interests, you know, like neurodivergent special interests. Like, I feel like probably everyone knows that, but I had never thought about it. You have asked me before if I have a pony sauna. I don't have one yet, but if I have to choose my special interests, I have a lot of different ones, and that is also the reason why I studied anthropology, because I'm very curious about lots of things. But I would say probably the bigger ones are archaeology, vintage toys, Japan, and military medals. And then the more niche ones that I haven't really talked about yet, but it's one of my biggest interests, is cranes. And I'm not talking about the animal, I'm talking about the machines. I love cranes, I love taking pictures of cranes. Cranes make me so happy when I see them. I really like massive machines in general, you know, like for example harvesting machines or mining, like those dystopian gigantic things. I'm also scared of heights, so I would never climb a crane. But I love looking at them from the safe ground. Someday I will climb a crane, possibly. I have no issues jumping from a plane, but I don't want to climb things myself. If it depends on me, I don't trust myself. But yeah, thinking about cranes, since this has really become a video about special interests, and you can tell me, I would love to hear about your special interests, especially if they're particularly, because I said special too many times, particularly different or niche or strange. So a little story time of the day. I used to go to drawing classes. I only went to a few drawing classes in Argentina, and this person had a huge library of like reference things and photography books and lots of very, very inspiring things. And he said something like, oh, if you want to like use any of the books to draw something, that you can do it. So I was very, very excited, and I went to the wall and I found this book that was all about like machine parts, like an engineering book. And I grabbed it and thought, oh my god, this is amazing. And I showed it to the teacher, and the teacher laughed and took the book from me and said, no, I meant something like this. And he gave me a book of like people, like portraits, usually women, because I don't know why people like to start practicing drawing using women figures. And I was so, I don't know, it took me by surprise, so I didn't say anything, but I was looking at the book like while holding this book of naked ladies, and I was looking at the other book of machine parts and thinking, no, I just want to draw machine parts. I don't know, I understand why lots of people practice like paintings and like live painting with human bodies, because yeah, most people also want to draw humans, and I want to draw humans too. But I also want to draw machine parts, which I haven't done and I haven't thought about in a while. So what I'm going to do now is go online and I'm going to find that book or a similar one and I'm going to get it. And once my pony book is done, because I want to keep editing things, because I'm really enjoying the process of editing books, I'm going to create a book about cranes. And it will have watercolor illustrations and it will celebrate the beauty of one of humanity's best creations. Alright, let's go back to the video briefly until I start talking about some other completely unrelated thing. I decided to use some files and sandpaper to try to get rid of the excess glue and also to try to get a smooth surface and maybe hide some of my mistakes. As you probably saw, I accidentally cut off some of the ponies. I already talked about this, didn't I? I actually got distracted while I was looking for pictures of machines to show you, and I spent the last 40 minutes doing that, so I forgot what I was talking about. Basically, try to get rid of as much of the glue as possible. All of this area is going to be covered by hair anyway, so it won't be very visible. And you know, we all have imperfections, we learn to embrace them. And the last thing I'm going to do is just push some of the more rebellious hair that was blocking the holes and make sure all the holes are open and ready for rerooting. But before we do that, we need to do just some quick retouches for the eyes and a little bit of one of the symbols that I'm not sure when I seem to have scratched off or acetoned off. And we are going to be using acrylic paint to do this. Yes, my box of acrylic paints is very chaotic. I do have to find a way to arrange them, but because they're all different sizes, it's not like I can like use one of those super neat shelves thingies. So I want to 3D print something for them, but yeah, they're all different sizes. And of course, we are also going to need a brush, and I'm going to go for my favorite brush, Wonky Brush. He is beautiful and he is unique. And he was created by accident, like so many good things. And someday, I think I told you this already too, but someday I'm going to design a brush that does this on purpose, that has like a little mechanical thing. So you can twist the end of the brush. I think the reason I like it so much is just because of how I place my fingers when I'm painting with the brush. And when the brush is very long, the stick of the brush kind of hits my finger in a way that makes it more difficult to paint. I don't know, but I love Wonky Brush, and it has brought me lots of happiness, and I'm very scared of the day when the paper tape I used to create it will break, and I ask myself whether I will ever be able to recreate the wonderfulness of Wonky Lee. But that day hasn't arrived yet, and for the moment we have everything we need to be at peace. Anyway, for the eyes, I'm going to, well, you can't really see it that well. I should have recorded this like closer up, but I retouched some of the purple and also the black, and we are also going to add my little second white dot, which is my signature mark, to show that this is a restored pony, not an original. Not that many people will get that confused, because it will definitely not look like the original. You have also suggested that I put like a little card inside the pony or something, so I'm going to do that as well. And I am going to put this pony up for sale because I want to continue upgrading my equipment so I can make better videos, and I want to go back to making more regular videos. So it's gonna be up for sale, even though it has become, because I'm recording this afterwards, it has become one of my favorite ponies that I have ever made. But because it has brought me so much happiness already in the couple of days she has been with me, I wanted to make someone else happy. So I will look around to get an idea of prices, because I have no clue. I'll see if I can add some maybe like a little coin I can engrave or something like that, or a card. And it's gonna be on the RetroGeekCraft's website. Sorry, I was thinking where to upload it. Yes, it's gonna be on there, on the retrogeekcraft.com website, which is the kind of the new website I created for launching the book in the future. And there you can also register if you want to be notified when the pre-orders open for the book. Now a little close-up of the eyes. Quite happy with them. They didn't need much, but it makes a big difference when there are like those little chips. It kind of distracts, so I'm glad that we could very, very easily repair the eyes. And now it's finally time to add the hair. Now I had to make a choice here because I have two colors in stock, sort of. The one I'm using for restoring my Sailor Moon doll, is more of a peach pink, and I also have this rose pink. And I think bow tie is kind of, the original color is kind of in between, but I really like this rose one, or the more pastel color. So I decided to go for that. I call this nylon hair. I have been calling it nylon hair for a while to separate it or distinguish it from acrylic hair, which is a bit harder. But from what I now know after researching, it's called polypropylene, and it has lots of other names too, but milk silk is another name that you can search for if you want to. I have also been looking into creating my own hairs with gradients and different textures and things like that. There's so many materials for hair, but anyway. Here I thought I would show you again a little bit of the rerooting process. Basically, it's easier if you wet the hair first to work with it, especially if you haven't done this too much. I have done this a lot, so I think at this point, well, it's not that I am very good at it, it's more that I don't really care if some of the hair is not picked up by the needle. I don't know how to explain this. I am more reckless, I guess. And I don't wet the hair, although that could make it easier. It's just one extra step. So you grab a little bit of hair, grab it, I put it around my index fingernail, and then grab it with the needle, which has two little like teeth, and then you insert it into the pony. If you soak the pony in hot water, this process is a bit easier. If you buy needles, I recommend you cut them in half. If you get them from my Etsy, I can cut them for you if you just let me know. But this will help you, or help the needles not break as much, because there will be less force being applied to like the body of the needle itself. Now, I know I talk a lot about like my tools, the tools I use or the tools I offer, but you can create your own needles. You don't need to buy them. If you have regular needles, you can use the clippers I was using before, which are like hobby clippers. Those would work, although they might get blunt more easily, so you can use something a bit stronger. But you can, yeah, if you just cut the tip of the needle, so you end up with the two teeth I was mentioning, and then use a little, ideally a little metal file, you know, like for doing your nails. There are little files that come in kits. You can use that to just make sure the end of the teeth of the new needle are pointy, not pointing inwards at least. And yeah, I have done that with my needles, and they have actually worked really well. Some, like, it depends on the quality of the original needle you use, and there are always defects in them, so you might have to do a couple of them or a few of them to make sure that you have one that has the strength. But I think once you find a good one, then it should last you like forever, almost. I'll try to make a video soon about this. Now, for doing the mane of this little bow tie, we are going to use the plugs that were already there, or the plug holes, I guess, that were already there, but we're also going to add a few more to the forehead where I accidentally hurt the bunny, and that should help us hide a little bit of that. I still don't know if I caused this or if it was already there and it was hidden by the glue. Either way, I always felt that this space should also have a little extra hair anyway. And you know, I love ponies with lots of hair, and this is not going to be an exception. On the contrary, it's going to be one of the most fabulous hair ponies. Maybe that will be the name of the video. Fabulous hair pony restoration. And then for the tail, we're going to do the same process we have done before, which is basically to just create one bunch of hair. Tie. I use this like embroidery thread to pass it through the tail hole, because I find it quite strong. You can pull it and it doesn't usually break. And cable ties to secure it in place, because they don't rust like metal toppers. The original ponies had metal toppers, and lots of them have rusted. If you are curious about what I do with the leftovers of the cable ties, I have actually done a project. I tried to reuse everything I don't use. I tried to reuse all the materials, recycle the materials I have. So with the cable ties, I cut them into little tiles, and I made the Barcelona pony, which is like a mosaic pony that you can see in the history. So that's one thing you can do with the ends of the cable ties. Ties to tiles. So at this point, I was wondering, should I tell you about the process of what we're doing next? Because we have done this quite a few times. Or should I tell you about something related to the video and to history, like I usually do? And I thought, okay, yeah, maybe we can take a look at related topics. Bows. What's up with ribbons and bows? From what I could find, ribbons are very old. Like almost everything we do as humans, we have been doing for thousands of years. And apparently the Met in New York has some Sumerian hair ribbons that are from 2500 BC, so that's 4,500 years ago. And the interesting thing about bows, there were multiple purposes for them. So they were obviously for appearance, but and for practicality, because they look pretty and they also can like hold your hair in place. And of course, they can also be like symbolic. They can represent your wealth or your status. Now, during the Enlightenment, it was men who wore ribbons, because there was a hairstyle called the love lock, which was a plait over the chest, and you would tie your love lock with a ribbon. And it was the ribbon was over the heart, and it represented someone's like romantic devotion. But as fashion changed, ribbons became also something that women will start wearing. For example, we know that Queen Marie Antoinette allegedly spent 20,000 francs on hair ribbons alone because she really loved the accessory for her hair and for her dress. If we convert that to today's dollars, that will be $500,000. So there, if you're looking for a trivia question, what does Marie Antoinette and little bow tie have in common? Ribbons! Now, jumping ahead a few centuries, I found this article. Apparently girls in the 1940s also used ribbons to send messages. We are such a symbolic species, said the anthropologist. The article is called Girls' Hairdo Reveals Love Life, and it was apparently published under the High School Fads section. It says, to high school girls, hairdos are a great medium for self-expression. The teenagers have no traffic with beauty parlors. They wash and cut their own and each other's hair, thinking up their own styles and original ornaments as they go. Today, girls' heads are fair territory for shoelaces, dish towels, cellophane bows, colored soda straws, lacy paper doilies, Christmas tree ornaments, bells, cowboy kerchiefs, and strips of bright-colored felt. The simple hair ribbon has become a weapon in the battle of the sexes. I wasn't going to read the whole thing, but this is actually really interesting and hilarious. It says, in Louisville, the color of the ribbon is significant. A yellow ribbon is a symbol of a man-hater. A white ribbon is a signal to the boys to lay off because the wearer is someone else's witch or best girl. Okay. At Highland Park, HS in Dallas, Texas, position of the ribbon is revealing. See stripped at the top, and the strip says, bow on the top of her head means that Anne Mitchell is out to get herself a man. Bow worn in back means Betty Dupree is not interested in men. And then it says that boys have also started playing with their hair. They bleach it, they turn it to bright red or poisonous green, but this fad has abated. That was a very interesting read. So let's look at the pony before with red hair, so more in line with what the boys were trying in 1940. And now let's look at the after. We know that Mama Bowtie loved her ribbons, but the baby Bowtie, I think she doesn't need them because look at that hair. It says so much without needing any accessories to express itself. I'm actually quite happy with the curls. For the first time, the curls have actually worked, soaking them in boiling water, and that's it. No more like soaking them into cold and hot and cold, just boiling water, and this is the result. You can hear me laughing in the background because when I took the curlers out, I was so happy with the result, with the exaggerated result. The skin still has a little glue, but who is looking at the skin? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the process. I hope you enjoyed the result. And if you want to adopt this pony, please head to the website retrogeekcrafts.com where you can find her. All proceeds will go to upgrading the equipment, which is also done thanks to my amazing patrons. Thank you so much for supporting my work. And I hope I will see you very, very soon. Have a great week. Have a great year, starting of the year. And thank you again for watching. Bye bye.